Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave's story just got a whole lot crazier. So here I am, minding my own business. Honestly, I was just making a video about the different classes that are in Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave and everything we've heard about so far. That's going to get pushed a little bit, maybe to tomorrow or the day after, depending on how quickly I can record and edit things. I found some good stuff, but I jump on to Twitter to try and get some footage, and I see this post here about the goddess Fortuna, which we saw in the most recent Nintendo Direct. Now, we know that Fortuna controls time and is going to interfere with Eshmel and all that stuff. We covered it in the previous video, if you haven't seen it, a whole hour breakdown of the Nintendo Direct, by the way. But the translation here is troubling. If you care about spoilers, I don't know how major or minor it is. They're like literally just posting this out there on Twitter, and it's going to be all over YouTube in about an hour or two. Trust me, everyone will be posting about this. But the translation for this, it has the name wrong, but in the comments, Satsuma is very nice to translate this for us and says, Fortuna, the goddess of fate, who is one of the mainstays of the Dagdan gods, she has limited ability to interfere with the past. To combat the Demon King Balor and his forces, she sends Eshmel back in time to guide 4 fallen warriors on this land. Fallen warriors is interesting. So we saw in the time skip sort of video at the end of the Direct that they had their statues there, and Theodora's was kind of had her head blown off, and it was back in time to try and bring these heroes back to recruit them and help you beat the demon god, essentially. That's basically the story of Fortune's Weave. I have a lot more theories, but that'll be in a different video. In this one, we're talking a little bit about Fortuna. The interesting thing is that Fortuna has the same voice actress as Sothis. I don't know if that really means anything in specific, if this is some kind of allusion to the fact that, you know, Sothis was the progenitor god before and had some control over time, and now Fortuna also has a little bit of control over time. We still have no idea whether this is prequel or sequel. However, there was an altar mentioned in Fire Emblem Three Houses, which is the pagan god of Dagda. And it was in, I think it was the Abyss, where the Ashen wolves were at the time. I'll be honest, I don't know the exact specifics, and I don't know that there really are exact specifics. I think this was just kind of glossed over there, but I think a lot of people are starting to make the tie that this is in fact the pagan god, and Shamir, I think, brings her up at one point. So it's going to be very interesting to see. I mean, we already know she's going to play a huge role in sort of the travel to the past and fixing the plot, and she's probably the main point of contact god/goddess that we have in this game. But with that, we also got a video, and I'm going to caution here again, if you're super worried about spoilers, this video is going to be all over YouTube. This does seem a little bit too much, from my perspective at least, for them to put on Twitter. I've seen it. I'm going to go over it because I have seen it. But if you don't want to see anything else, I would skip this part. I'll leave a timestamp on screen to when it might be safe to come back. Or if it's not, I won't even leave a timestamp. We'll just call this spoilers straight up. So you've been warned. I'm going to go down to this now. So I'm just going to let this video play out. I'm assuming that this dude is the demon god. I mean, we're really not even like trying to hold it back. Green hair, menacing aura, shooting flames out of the hands, got a bunch of rings on. Not that that really means anything. I'll go down to the translation and see what that means, what he's saying means. But this is a cutscene from the game. And we have him straight up blowing up what seems to be the walls to the city. I think these down here are the statues of the fallen heroes. So this might be like the early part of the game that's showing you what's happening, and then before we travel back in time. There's a full frontal body view of him and what he's wearing. A lot of like red and green, and again, this dark underworld aura that he has. And we can also see that he is on this bridge with all of the spikes that we did see in the Nintendo Direct. So it does look like this is after the time skip, and this is the demon god. So I have to wonder if this is the baby that was in the hands of the dragon lady. That's the baby that was crying. Evil laugh. I love my evil laughs. So here's the three characters. Eshmel, we've seen both of these. So Eshmel, this brown-haired girl who was, I think it was kind of like a priest class with magic. And then this one we didn't really see much about, but we're about to see something. I've seen this video and I'll show you, which I was kind of excited about and I posted about on Twitter. Yeah, the roof is caving in, and then we get this sort of time stop element, which we've seen before. Byleth had that sort of time stop element as well in one of the cutscenes in Three Houses, where just right at the beginning of the game, actually, when Edelgard, Dimitri, and Claude are getting attacked by bandits, and time stops, and Byleth gets talked to by Sothis. So it seems like this is a direct parallel to that in some way, shape, or form. So the three characters are all included in this time stop. And here she is walking out from behind the rocks. She does have the pointy dragon ears. And then we get the little clap, which I'm assuming is sending them back in time. But this is kind of what I wanted to talk about. So as I was talking about classes, I'm kind of breaking down what weapons they use. And up until now, the little small gauntlets that are the guns is what we had seen so far. But if you pay attention to this lady over here on the right-hand side, she's got a full-on assault rifle in her hand, which is kind of crazy. I mean, we're not even trying to hide like the little subtle guns or whatever. This is like a full-on machine gun kind of thing. So I'm expecting, and this is probably one of those advanced classes here that's using some of the higher tier weapons of quote. I mean, they want to call them gauntlets. Why don't we just need to call them guns at this point? Like we can't be out here calling these gauntlets or classifying these as gauntlets for crying out loud. So I mean, it's just a straight up assault rifle. It is what it is. So I thought that was pretty funny. This is probably its own unique advanced class that's using these high tier gun type weapons. I thought it was pretty funny that in more of a story cutscene, I'm seeing something like this for the first time. So yeah, that's a lot of big news, honestly, with the post from tonight. Underneath the video, Satsuma also translates this as Fortuna's debut scene as fitting her title of the Goddess of Fate. It seems she possesses extraordinary power. Got you, ha. Fear not, this is my power. Feast your eyes on my power over time, passed on to me by the progenitor. So a lot of people are discussing where this is happening in the timeline, and I honestly don't really quite know or understand, but it seems like Sothis is here, and these gods have received Sothis's power. They're probably descendants of Sothis, and I want to talk about this in its own separate video. But if young Sothis is also rewinding time and Fortuna has this power and Sothis has passed on the power to Fortuna, it feels like this is probably sometime after the massacre of the Nabateans and Sothis going to sleep, and so some of these gods that are in foreign countries have probably inherited some of her powers, and then when she wakes up in the time of Three Houses, she's regaining some of those powers that were passed on to the other gods. Of course, as soon as I end my recording, I realized that on the Nintendo Today app, they actually covered Fortuna today. So we're going to talk about this also very quickly. I'll have the footage playing in the background, but we can see Fortuna, Eshmel, and this new character that is holding the gun called Troy. And they're walking into what is called the Obelisk Room underneath Daxian. And they're saying that this place feels from almost the outside world. We also see that Eshmel is not actually talking. You get to select an option, and they just kind of shake their head. And Fortuna says only a few people know that the chamber exists below her temple. And she says it was she who asked me to prepare it in case disaster ever struck. I'm assuming she refers to Sothis. And then Goddess of Fate, Glimpses in the Future, and one of the visions showed her a terrible disturbance in the causality of this land. And that's kind of where that scene ends. But of course, afterwards, there's a little battle scene with Kai, Tiara, and Peter. It's not that special, but it is showing us the Divine Pulse mechanic. And this time it is called Fortuna's Pulse. So I wonder if the true name for Divine's Pulse is actually Fortuna's Pulse. Or I guess they're calling it Fortuna's Blessing here. So yeah, that's pretty much it in this one. I don't think there's anything else too insanely interesting, but it is interesting to see that they have dropped two wildly differing things on Nintendo today versus the Twitter post from Fire Emblem JP. So I guess that's what it pays to see both of these at the same time and sort of try to co-analyze them. But the new character's name is Troy, so we know that Troy is wielding a machine gun. All right, well, I'll see you guys in the next video soon. Bye-bye!